Zach says it's well known that Mark Zuckerberg doesn't like being beholden to Apple and Google's phone platforms, and it's well known that Meta tried to develop its own phone multiple times unsuccessfully. With the benefit of hindsight, what should Meta have done that it could afford at the time? Bought Android or Nokia, partnered with Google or Microsoft or Samsung, developed its own phone sooner or for longer? Or was it correct to try a little bit, but ultimately give up? What do you think?
I think it was correct to give up, and it was incorrect to even try a little bit. Like it was just, it was doomed from the beginning. And it was this idea that we're going to have phones centered on people, not about apps. It was just a complete misunderstanding of what it was about, right? Like your phone does a lot of things for you. A lot of them are about communication, but it's also a lot of other things. And the reality is, by the time Facebook was large enough to make a go of it, it had the resources, it was already too late. Apple and Android had basically already won. So I think it was sort of doomed from the beginning. And under the circumstances, Meta got big and large enough by virtually being the customer acquisition engine that the entire app ecosystem. This is the great irony of Apple versus Facebook, is that Facebook built the App Store, right? Like the yes, there was that initial wave, but over time, the sort of systemic growth in App Store revenue and growth in users and all these sort of the whole game ecosystem in particular, Facebook did that. Almost every meaningful app or game in the last decade got its start from Facebook ads. Like that's how you built them. TikTok was built on Facebook ads, right? That's literally how they did it. And Facebook was by far the best way to acquire customers for these new products. And they built this. And now you fast forward, and they do have the resources to sort of try to define what's next. Again, is it reasonable? Is it not? I could argue both sides. I could record a whole podcast and be talking to myself even more so than I am today. But I just don't think it was viable back then. And they, I think, played their hand pretty well, all things considered. If anything, this is a waste of time to even try to do the phone stuff that they did. But it mercifully failed very quickly, as it sort of predictably did. And they got around to actually building up their own platform on top of a platform, which then Apple came and sort of blew up.
Well, hey, I give partial credit for having a bad idea, but at least being smart enough to abandon it rather quickly. It sounds like
they had no choice but to abandon it. They flopped pretty hard in the market.
Yeah, reality often intervenes in a case like that. All right.